Hey everybody, welcome to Recovery Talk with Oscar the First. I'm Oscar the First, and I call myself Oscar the First for many reasons. One, and the most important, is that I have to put God first in everything that I do. And also as a reminder that the first step in this program is the most important step. That was that, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. And so for me, that just meant like, look, man, I can't control this and I need help. So, that surrender, that admission is what was the beginning. The beginning of that process of, being willing. But it was step two that really gave me a little bit of hope. Step two says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And so what that meant for me was that, like, I believe that God can step in, man, and fix what I broke. And I remember when I first read, um, you know, came to believe that a power grid ourselves could restore us to sanity. I was like, oh, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm not chronically insane or clinically insane. Like, I don't belong in a psych ward or anything like that. Maybe I'm not in the right room. And, and I was kind of hoping that, somebody would tap me on the shoulder and say, "Oh, excuse me, sir. No, you're in the wrong meeting. This is the meeting for the real crazy alcoholics." But as it turns out, no, bro, I was definitely in the right room, and but it gave me a little bit of hope, because addiction is a whole, it's a whole different, it's a whole nother crazy, and it's its own kind of crazy is really what I'm trying to say. And so again, step one was like, I can't. Step two is like, God, can you take over? And really that's it. That's the whole deal. Um, and it wasn't about trying to figure out my life all at the same day. It was just about me becoming willing. Becoming willing to, you know, let God do his thing, and just that little bit of willingness was enough for God to work with. And I remember my first sponsor was pretty tough with me, and he was, kept it 100%, and that's it. That's exactly what I needed. But he would be like, "Listen, dude, slow down. You don't have to figure out the rest of your life today. You know, can you just can you not drink and just let God be in charge of your life, because your best thinking got you here." And man, when he said that like, it really hit me, because again, this was of my own making. All my problems were all me. And over time, alcohol and substance abuse will cause damage to your brain. And if you already had problems by drinking and drugging, you're just exacerbating those conditions. And so yeah, that's where kind of problems get worse. So that's why we needed something, and they call it a higher power. To me, it's God. It's always been God, but something greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity. And so yeah, it gave me a little bit of hope. It gave me willingness to come back the next day and listen. It was just like, like baby steps. And the reason that was big, man, was because my life was a mess. To be quite honest with you, I was down. I was exactly as they would, the things that they would say. was like literally how I was feeling. Like when they said, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just, having to face the next day, and, how much money did I spend, and where's my debit card, and, just that insanity of trying to keep it all going, of saying, oh, I'm only just gonna have a couple of drinks. It's just gonna be, and thinking that the outcome was gonna be different. That that next time, and it never was. It was always the spark or what would get everything started. And then again, facing the next day is what became more and more difficult. So, step two isn't about religion. It's believing that God can restore what addiction destroyed. So if you're in the dark like I was, step two is like believing again, because God can and will fix what's broken. And so I'll leave you with this, my one of my favorite quotes. Uh, Faith is taking the first step when you don't see the whole staircase. By Martin Luther King. So yeah, baby steps. Um, and taking it just literally one day at a time, one step at a time. Sometimes it's 1 minute at a time. In the beginning, it was very difficult. To find something to have a little bit of hope for, and this step really where is where I did start to get some hope that I too could break the chain of this addiction, and live a life of freedom, filled with grace. But it is a daily thing for me. And we just don't have enough time for me to tell you how amazing my life is. People ask me, "Oh, how you doing, man?" Man, I am blessed and highly favored. I don't know how else to how else to phrase that, because yes, God has restored a lot of relationships, and it's just a continued day by day growth. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for your notes of encouragement. Thank you for your prayers. I really do appreciate it. So God bless you guys. Stay sober, my friends. Yep, yep.